We had seen about the Gauss law, and the Gauss law says that the total electric flux through a closed surface is given by total charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. Or we have another way of writing it, the total flux passing through a closed surface. This can be also written as E dot ds. It can be written as surface integral of electric field. So the total electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by it. So if I say this is the total flux, this is the total flux. Flux means basically your field lines. So the total flux through a closed surface. So this is a closed surface. Let us suppose this is closed surface S, and if charge enclosed is Q. So the total electric flux through a closed surface is equal to charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. This is your Gauss theorem. Now if this theorem is clear to you, we will be able to answer this. It says that a point charge plus 10 microcoulomb is at a distance 5 centimeter above the center of a square of side 10 centimeters. Now see here, if I say this is a square, okay, I say this is a square and the charge, this is the side of a square. You consider like you have a box. So the one face, this is the one face of the box. So that's a square, you can say. And where is your charge? The charge is 10 centimeter above the center. So your charge here is, this is your charge Q, and that is 10 microcoulomb. What is the magnitude of flux passing through the square? Now see a student, this square is not a closed surface, if you see, right? This square, you can say, if you consider a box, then this is one face. This is one square face of the box, you can say, or of the cube, you can say. So what do I do is, if I complete this cube, right, I'm going to get it something like, so I'll just complete this cube. So when I complete this cube, then you will find that this charge Q is now at the center of the cube. And what is the total flux through the square, through the cube? The total flux through the cube, okay? Total flux through cube is equal to charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. But what are they asking you? They are asking you what is the magnitude of flux through the square. And the square cube will have how many faces? Cube has 6 faces. 6 square faces, and therefore through this face, what will be the flux through this face which they are asking? It will be divided by 6. So you will find flux through square is equal to, you will find that 1 upon 6 Q epsilon naught. So this is going to be the answer. So here you have to remember that we are constructing a closed surface in the form of a cube, and through one face you will find that your flux is equal to 1 upon 6 Q upon epsilon naught. Now let's try to see this. This is also based on cube. It says that a point charge Q is kept at the body center of a cube. What is body center of a cube? If you see, body center of a cube, let's see that. Let me undo it first. Okay. Now let's see this numerical. A point charge Q is kept at a body center of a cube. So body center of a cube, let's see this one. Okay, if this is a cube, and where is the, you can consider this as a cube, right? It's a box, you can consider, and at body center means at the center. So your charge plus Q is kept here, and they are asking you find the flux through faces of cube in each case. So it is basically they are asking you the total flux through the cube. So here what will be the total flux? Total flux will be the total charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. So this is going to be your first answer. In the second case, they are saying face centered of a cube. So in case of a face centered of a cube, where is the charge kept? Your charge kept is at one of the faces. So you find that your charge is kept at this face. So now if you see that your charge is kept, okay, at one phase, here you have, now this phase, if you see, right, this phase, you will find that there will be one more cube onto this side. So a charge of q here at this phase is going to be shared by another cube here, no? So what will be the charge by this cube? Effective charge. Here you will find that charge effective or charge effective will be equal to q upon 2, because it will be now shared by some other cube which is going to be here. So what will be the flux? Flux will be equal to q upon 2 epsilon naught, because what will be charge enclosed here? Charge enclosed by each, or charge by each cube is going to be q by 2. So this is basically your phase centered. So here you will find that it will be only shared by one more cube onto this side. Now let's see the next one. It is the edge center. So at the edge center of a cube, what is the edge center of a cube? It is basically this edge. It is here. So if now see here, if you talk of this cube here, okay, this is a cube. I'm just drawing this upper part. It is being shared here like this. So it will be shared by one cube here, plus it will be shared by one cube in the front, and one front from this side and one front from this side. So total 4. So what will be total charge enclosed? Charge enclosed total or effective charge will be equal to q by 4. And what will be phi now? Phi will be equal to q upon 4 epsilon naught, because this charge q will be shared by other 4 cubes. Now let's see the last one, that is about the center. This is vertex of a cube. Now this point is a vertex of a cube. So first we should understand the terminologies. What is the vertex? This point is known as the vertex. So now if you have a cube here, just here, if I say I have a cube here, right? I'm just drawing this part of it. The charge is actually kept here. So this will be shared by one cube here. This will be shared by one cube here. This will be shared by one cube here, plus the another cube in front of this, in front of this, and in front of this, and in front of this. So this charge q is shared by 8 cubes, and therefore the total charge here, you will find that in this case the total charge q enclosed or effective charge will be q by 8, because it is going to be shared by 8 cubes, and here you will have phi is equal to q upon 8 epsilon naught. So I hope this numerical regarding the cube, it should be clear to you. Now knowing the Gauss law is important for the reason being is that it tells us, like, it gives you a way to find out the electric field intensity due to complex distribution, maybe due to continuous distribution. So if I say, like, let us suppose if I say I have a charge like this is a line charge, let us suppose. Remember this line charge, and so here we will be talking about the lambda, that is going to be your linear charge density. So your Gauss theorem will help you to find out the electric field intensity. Let us suppose I want to find the electric field intensity at point P here due to this line charge, infinite line charge distribution. So we will be using Gauss theorem for that. So that's how this application is there. Or what it can happen is, like, you may have a sheet here, like, so let us suppose you have an infinite sheet here. So when you talk of a sheet, we will be talking about sigma, that is your surface charge density. So if you have a charge sheet, and if I tell you, okay, what is the electric field intensity at this point P, then we are going to use the Gauss theorem. Or what we can do is, if I have a sphere, let us suppose I have a charged or metallic sphere, right? This is metallic sphere, or it may be a solid sphere. So if I say this is a charged sphere, then we know that the charges will always reside on the surface. So if because of this charged sphere I want to calculate the electric field intensity at this point P, so we are going to make use of a Gauss law. So Gauss law, the importance of Gauss law lies in the fact that we can find out the electric field intensity very easily due to continuous charge distribution. So now what we are going to see is, we are going to see about the applications of Gauss law. So here you have application of Gauss law. The first application what we are going to see is, we are going to find out the electric field intensity due to infinitely long wire. So here we are going to find out the electric field intensity due to infinitely long wire. So let's see how we will be going about it. Now first let us try to understand what will be the field lines like. Okay, now see here, if I have this let's say infinitely charged wire, I have it, right? And since it is infinite, so let's see here, iska field line is going to be in this direction, in this direction, in these directions. The other field lines here can be resolved into x and y. Similarly, I'll have a field line for here like this, and here it is going to be in this direction, here in this direction it is going to be like this. So these field lines, they will cancel out now because they are opposite in direction. So effectively what will be the field lines? How will be the field lines for positive charge? Your positive line charge, your field lines are going to be of this shape. I hope it is clear to you. So these are the field lines actually. So that's how you will find that whenever the figures are drawn, you draw a field line something like this, or if you draw figure in this order, this is the figure you are drawing vertically, then your field lines will be in this way. Now after knowing this, I think you will be able to understand the figure of electric field intensity due to infinitely long wire. So what we do is, we say let lambda be linear charge density. And what is linear charge density? Linear charge density means charges per unit length. And I have, this is the figure. So this is infinitely long wire. I say this is all the positive charges. And I need to find out the electric field potential, say at point P. Now we have to see, we say total electric flux through a closed surface. So here we don't see a closed surface. So what we will do is, first we will construct a closed surface. You will construct a closed surface. And this closed surface what you are constructing, that is known as Gaussian surface. So what we are going to do is, we are going to construct a closed surface. Now see here, if these are the field lines and this is point P, so it is better for us to construct the Gaussian surface in the form of a cylinder. No? So it is something, if you can see here, I will be considering this Gaussian surface in the form of a cylinder. So what I will do is, I will construct a Gaussian surface in the form of a cylinder. I'll make a note that this point P should pass through the center. No? It should be here. So I construct a Gaussian surface here. So I'll construct a Gaussian surface here. So this is what I'm going to construct. I'm going to construct a Gaussian surface here. So this is the Gaussian surface. And obviously what are the field lines? Your field lines are going to be in this direction. So this is basically your figure. And if I want to calculate the electric field intensity at point P at a distance r from the axis, so from here, this point, this is distance r. So you have a cylinder of radius r. And I can take the length of the cylinder. See, this is as it is an infinite wire. Hai? This is as it is. I am just taking a part of it, where I want to, and I am constructing a small cylinder. So this length from here to here, let it be L. This is what I am taking the length. If you talk of a cylinder, you will find that this will be one surface. This is going to be surface S1. This is going to be another surface. This is S2. These two are going to be your circular surfaces. And the curved surface of the cylinder. So this is going to be your surface. So the surface is going to be your total surface S. I can take, that's the curved one. Now see, what we have is, we have to find out the total electric flux through the closed surface. So I am taking this as E dot ds. E dot ds is what? Total electric flux through the closed surface. Through this closed surface means through S1, S and S2. So this can be written as S1 E dot ds plus, I can write this as S2 E dot ds plus S3 S E dot ds. So what will be the total, you can say, electric flux, or what will be the surface integral of electric field over the whole surface will be, you do it for S1, you do it for S2, and then you do it for S. Now if you see this, right, what is the direction of area vector? Because see, here you have area vector, na? So for this surface, what is the area vector? Your area vector is going to be this one. So here you will find that this is going to be your area vector. This is going to be your ds1 vector, like this. What will be the area vector here for this surface? Outward drawn normal. Here it is going to be n cap. So here I am talking about ds2 vector, this is. And if I take a very small element here, this is, I am taking a very small element ds. So what is the area? Area is going to be in the same direction. So you will find that your, in case of surface S, the area vector is in the same direction of electric field. But in S1 and S2, electric field is in this direction and area vector is perpendicular. Electric field is in this direction and it is perpendicular. So now you can see for S1, E dot ds, E is in, E and ds are perpendicular to each other. So you will see that, I'll just simplify this, but directly also you can write this. This is S1, this will be E ds cos theta, plus this is S2 E ds cos theta, plus this is going to be S E ds cos theta. So in S1 case, what is the angle between E and ds? It is 90. So this is 90 and cos of 90 is 0. So this will be 0. This factor also will be 0, and here cos theta is 1. So literally you will get E dot ds, that is total electric flux through the closed surface, is now, it is integral, it is E and ds. Now see, I want to find electric field intensity, and I told that we are using Gauss law because we know that somewhere, if I know, because we know that phi is equal to E dot ds upon q enclosed upon epsilon naught. So if this equation I have, I know what is flux. Flux can be related to the charge inside it, and since E is appearing here, I can get the electric field intensity. Now after this, let's try to now Gauss theorem. What does the Gauss theorem says? According to Gauss theorem, total flux, है ना? Total flux, that is E dot ds. This is your total flux. Total flux E dot ds is equal to q enclosed upon epsilon naught. So I equate, what do I do is, I equate this equation, say this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. So I will write E dot ds over the whole surface as E ds over the surface S is equal to charge enclosed. Now see, lambda is equal to q upon L. This is what is your charge density. So what will be q? Q will be equal to lambda L. We have taken this length as L. So charge enclosed will be lambda L upon epsilon naught. And what is the surface area of a cylinder? If you take surface area of a cylinder, this is the cylinder. This is the length of the cylinder is L. This is the radius. So surface area is equal to This is going to be 2 pi r into L. So this is the surface area of a cylinder. So I can write E, and as it is, you can see here, since your E is going to be equidistant from here, your E is constant, so E can be taken out. This is ds over surface S is lambda L upon epsilon naught. And what is E ds now over surface S? That is 2 pi RL. So here you will get, so E 2 pi RL is equal to lambda L upon epsilon naught. This L and L will cancel out. See, as it is, we constructed a cylinder of length L. So that it was a construction. So your electric field at that point will not depend on L. It will only depend upon the distance from the axis. That is, it is only going to depend upon R. So if I further rearrange it, I'll get lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught upon R. So this is the expression for electric field intensity at a point due to infinite long wire. And as it is now, you can see that E is inversely proportional to 1 by R. So if you plot a graph of E versus R, rectangular hyperbola, or if you plot a graph of E versus 1 by R, you will find you will get a straight line. So this all was explained before, how you get the graphs. So more you are away from the line charge, the more you will find that your electric field intensity is going to be less. And if I write it in terms of vector, so you can write E vector is equal to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught R, and N vector. N vector is what? It's the same as your area vector. Now the second application which we are going to do is regarding electric field intensity. This is the second application, important. It is, we are going to find out electric field intensity due to uniformly charged thin infinite plane sheet. Now here what we will do is, let us suppose if this is the sheet, right, and this sheet is uniformly charged. So this sheet basically is uniformly charged. Now obviously here you will find that your electric field, if I have a sheet here, I'll just draw the rough part of it here. See here, this is the sheet. See here, this positive field will be like this, it is going to be like this, here it is going to be like this. Similarly here this field is going to be like this, and it is going to be like this. So this up and down part, basically you will find they will cancel out. So if you have a sheet, the field, the electric field because of the sheet will be in this direction. So you will find that your electric field will be in this direction, and back side of it also you will find this is the direction of the electric field. So this was first understanding how you will find out your electric field lines, like what will be the direction of electric field. Okay. Now what I have to do is, let us suppose if I want to find out the electric field intensity, say at point P here. So what I am going to do is, I am going to construct, okay, I am going to construct here a very thin cylinder, and this thin cylinder is known as a pillbox. So I am going to construct a pillbox cylinder here which will contain this point P here like this, and it will go through inside, and the other side also I will have this box, no, this part. So it will be somewhat like this, as if it is crossing that plane, and this distance also should be same. So let me make it more clear. So this is also going to be equidistant. So let's make it equidistant. So this is how you will be drawing this Gaussian surface. Now here what you will have faces, you will have a surface area S1, this is going to be S2, and this is S. The cylinder is something like this. So this is your S1, this is S2, and this is S. Now see, what is the direction of electric field? Direction of electric field is in this direction, unlike the previous case. So here, if I talk about this area, the normal will be in this direction. If I talk this area, because here the electric field will be in this direction. So here your area vector is going to be in. So you find that your area vector is along the direction of electric field. And in this case, if I take a small surface, right, if I take a small surface here, then your area vector is in this direction and electric field is in this direction, though they are perpendicular, so no contribution from the surface S. So here we consider, let S1 and S2 be flat surfaces of area A. So I am taking this as area. So this area I am taking it as A. Now what will be the total flux? Total flux E dot ds through the whole surface, through the whole Gaussian surface, will be equal to E dot ds S1 plus E dot ds S2 plus E dot ds and surface S. Now see, E dot ds surface X S, this will cancel out because the angle between N and E are 90, and here you will find E dot ds will be E and integration ds. This is S1 plus E integration ds. This is S2. But what is integration S1 S? This is going to be same as, I am taking this as area A. So I will find this is nothing but this will be EA plus EA. So I will be getting E dot ds is equal to twice EA. Here you can assume, what we will assume, that sigma, okay, let sigma be surface charge density. Sigma is your surface charge density. Now after getting this equation, let's use the Gauss theorem. So we have to use Gauss theorem after this. So Gauss theorem says that E dot ds is equal to Q enclosed inside upon epsilon naught. Now see here, what is sigma? Sigma is Q upon area A. Okay, sigma is what? Q upon area. This is what I am considering. So what will be total charge? Charge will be sigma into A. And E dot ds, so here you will find that, and what is E dot ds? It is twice EA is equal to, what is charge enclosed? Charge enclosed will be this sigma A upon epsilon naught. So this A and A will cancel out and you will have sigma is equal to, we want to find E, not sigma, so right. So here you will find that E will be equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Now students, here this is a very important result for the reason that E is independent of R. Like theoretically, if you say at this point P1, at this point P2, at this point P1, this point P2, wherever you take, you will find that your electric field intensity will be the value of sigma upon 2 epsilon. And what is the sigma? Sigma is going to be the charge density. So if you plot a graph of E versus R, then your E is going to be constant because it is not depending on R. So this is the graph of E versus R. If you calculate the value of sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, so this E is sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, and this is the value of irrespective of any distance. And that is why we say that your electric field due to thin infinite plane is going to give you a constant electric field, which will not be depending upon the distance. So here, so let's try to revise this. So here, if I have a plate, let us suppose if I have a plate here, and if I say what is the electric field, say at this point, in this region 1, in this region 2. So here what will be the electric field? It will be sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Here also what will be the electric field? Electric field will be sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. So this is first case. Now what I do is, I take one more plate next to it. So I have a sheet here. Now there will be 3 regions, right? So this is going to be region, say 1, this is region 2, and this is region 3. And if I say now this is positive, and I say this is also positive. Okay, and here also the charge density is sigma. Here also let us suppose I am taking it at sigma. So now what will be the electric field in region 1? So electric field in region 1. How do we go about such kind of numericals? First try to do it in terms of field lines. Now see here, because of this sheet, this is A and this is B. Because of sheet A, at this point what will be the direction of electric field? This. And because of B also, what will be the direction of electric field? The same direction. So here you will find that they will get added up. So because of A, it is sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, plus this will be sigma upon 2 epsilon naught because of B. This is because of A. So you will find that it will be 2 sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. So you will find that sigma upon epsilon naught will be the electric field. Net electric field here will be sigma upon epsilon naught. If I say what will be the electric field in region 2. So let's see here, electric field in region 2. Now see here in region 2, let us suppose this point. Due to plus, the field is going to be here in this direction. And because of this, the field will be in this direction. So they are equal and opposite. So equal and opposite, basically here what it will be? Here it will be 2 sigma upon epsilon naught because of A. And it will be minus 2 sigma upon epsilon naught because of B, because it is in the opposite direction. And therefore this will cancel out, and therefore you will find that this is going to be 0. So here you will find that electric field intensity is 0. And what will be in region 3? In region 3, just see at this point, because of A, field is going to be in this direction. Because of B, the field is going to be in this direction. So they will just add up 2 sigma upon epsilon naught A plus 2 sigma upon epsilon naught. This is B. So this will be sigma upon epsilon naught. What will be the net direction of electric field? Towards the right. And in this region, what will be the net electric field direction? Direction will be towards the left. If you write it in vector form, you can write here A vector is equal to minus sigma upon epsilon naught. So this minus sign is indicating okay, that it is. So you can say this as minus I cap. So minus I cap means it is indicating that it is towards the left hand side. So now since this you know, now you can quickly get me the answer for this distribution. Okay, let's see if I have 2 plates and say this plate is positive and I say this is sigma, and if I say another same plate I have and say this is negative and this is minus sigma, this is plus sigma. This is region 1, this is region 2 and this is region 3. So what will be the electric field in region 1, 2 and 3? Again same method. Due to this plate A, what will be the field direction here? This direction. Due to 3, due to this B, what will be the direction of the field? Direction of field will be in this direction, and therefore this will be 0. Due to this, at this point, because of positive it is going to be in this direction, and because of negative it will be in this direction. So here it will be sigma upon epsilon naught. Here in this third case, due to positive it will be this direction, due to negative it will be this direction, they will get subtracted. Here it is going to be 0. So these two plates, equal and opposite charges, these two plates are nothing but they are going to constitute a capacitor and the electric field between the capacitor. If I just draw the plates like this, so in this region E is 0, in this region E is 0, and here you will find that your E will be uniform, and this value of E is given by sigma upon epsilon naught. Now we have a last application to find out. Okay, so we'll be seeing that last application. Now the last application of the Gauss theorem is that we need to find out the electric field intensity due to uniformly charged thin spherical shell. So let's see the third application. So we will find out this is a third application. We are going to find out the electric field intensity due to uniformly charged thin spherical shell. Thin spherical shell basically means it's a hollow ball. So what we do is we consider a thin spherical shell. Let us suppose we consider this as a thin spherical shell, and I consider this as a radius r. So you consider thin spherical shell of radius capital R and surface charge density. Surface charge density is sigma. So what will be sigma? Sigma is basically, if I say total charge here is Q, let us suppose this is positively charged, right? So if I say total charge is Q, so charge per unit area, so 4 pi r square. So this is basically your surface charge density. Now here we have to find out the electric field outside the shell. So we will take 3 cases. So here we are going to take 3 cases. So in first case we will find out E outside the shell. Then then we will consider the second case, that will be E inside shell, and third case you can take it as E on the shell. Let's take the case outside. Let us suppose I want to find out the electric field at this point P. So what I will do, I am going to construct a Gaussian surface such that it should pass through P. So I am constructing a Gaussian surface. So this is the Gaussian surface, and let this P be at a distance say R. So this is R. Now you can see here, if I take a small element here ds, so you will find that your electric field is also in this direction, and your vector area is also in this direction. So if I am taking the first case, what is first case? We are considering E outside shell at a distance R. So what we will do, again we are going to use that E dot ds. So you will have E dot ds will be equal to, right, over this whole surface. Now which whole surface? Over the whole surface S. This is the whole surface S. So this will be given by E ds over the whole surface S, and what is integration ds over the whole surface S? That is equal to 4 pi r square. So you will have E into 4 pi r square. But Gauss law says, what does the Gauss law says? Gauss theorem, it says that E dot ds is equal to Q enclosed upon epsilon naught. And what is Q enclosed? Q enclosed is nothing but it is sigma. And this is basically what is the charge enclosed. This is the charge enclosed. So charge enclosed, I can write it as total charge enclosed. I can just write it here as Q upon epsilon naught, because here it is Q. Or what you could have written? You could have written as sigma 4 pi r square upon epsilon naught. It's one and the same. Here this is total charge is Q on the shell, because this is not infinite, no? So I have defined that, okay, this is the total charge on the shell. So now if I combine this, what you will have? This is equation 1 and this is equation 2. So if you combine this, you will have E is 4 pi r square is equal to Q upon epsilon naught, or you will have E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon r square. So this is the expression for electric field outside. If you remember, if I had a point charge Q here and then I told you to find out the electric field intensity at a distance r. So we had the expression E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. So here also you see we are getting the same expression. So it can be seen that the whole charge on sphere is assumed to be concentrated at center. So this is how it's just a way of visualizing it. Even though you say that it is the charges are on the sphere, but when you find out the electric field, it will appear as if these whole charges are at the center, and from that center to that point P distances are, and this is the electric field. If you want to find out the electric field, right, E on the shell. Now if you want to find out the value of electric field on the shell, see how we go about it. Okay, we'll just see how we can go about it. Now if it is on the shell, let us suppose this is what I had a shell and this was positive, it was Q charges here, and this was radius r. So now there is no need to construct a Gaussian surface because this is already enclosing a surface. And still if you feel that you want to draw a Gaussian surface, then that Gaussian surface basically will be what? It will be this surface only. So you have the surface only. This is going to be a Gaussian surface. And how will be the derivation? Again, E dot ds is equal to total charge enclosed is Q upon epsilon naught. And what is ds? ds integration ds is going to be 4 pi capital R square, because now the radius is r. So you have E into 4 pi r square is Q upon epsilon naught, or you can write E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon r square. So this is going to be the electric field on the surface. It is only that, see, this r you replace it by capital R, you get the electric field. Now let's take the last case of it, electric field inside. So let's take the last case. Last case is electric field inside. So you have a sphere, this is the shell, and you have the charges here. This is your Q charges, this is your radius r, and now you have a point inside, and inside you want to calculate the field. So here I have a point P here. So this is point P. So what I will do is I will construct a Gaussian surface. So this is the Gaussian surface. Let us suppose this radius is r. So you construct Gaussian surface of radius r, and this is what the case, E inside shell. This is the case. Now see here, E dot ds. If I calculate E dot ds here, I'll do it here, right? So if you calculate E dot ds is equal to, okay, we know that by Gauss theorem E dot ds is equal to Q enclosed upon epsilon naught. But Q enclosed is equal to 0, no, because it is not enclosing. There are no charges inside, literally. There are no charges inside. You must be feeling, ma'am, this line you have written that whole charge is assumed to be concentrated at the center. No, that is only for the point outside. bahar, for the point outside it can assume, but if you're taking a Gaussian surface inside, then literally there are no charges, and therefore you will find that E dot ds is going to be 0. Now see, ds is not 0 because this will have some area. ds is what? Here ds, if you see, ds will be 4 pi r square, it's an area, so only thing which can be 0 is going to be E. So this implies that E is equal to 0. So if you see this, you will find that if you combine all the cases, okay, if you combine all the cases, let's see here, if this is a charge sphere plus q here, this is q, so inside E is 0, on the surface E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square, and outside the surface E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square. So this will be your radius r, and here this is going to be from here to here, it is r. So if you plot a graph, let's see here, if I plot a graph for all the three cases, say this is E and this is r. So till r is equal to r, till your distance r is equal to r, E is 0. So here, so this is the graph, E is equal to 0 for r less than r, for r less than r. Now at r is equal to r, so at r is equal to r, you will find that your field is going to be maximum. So here you will find that E will be equal to this value, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square, and then you will find that with the distance what will happen, E is going to decrease, it is going to decrease. So here you will get a graph like this. So this is what the graph is all about. So this part is indicating E is inversely proportional to 1 upon r square, and what is the value here? This value E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square. So this is the maximum value. So inside the sphere electric field intensity is going to be 0, on the surface it is going to be maximum, and then it is going to decrease with the distance. So at times this graph is also been asked in the examination. So very important question from the exam point of view is what is Gauss theorem, and then any one application can be asked to you, or state and prove Gauss theorem, any one application that can be asked to you, and this can be asked to you for 5 marks. Thank you.